Alright, folks, I believe we are live, and you can probably hear me, but as usual, please let me know if that is not the case. I'm waiting for my little feed here to load up, but I think we're alright to go. Let's make sure everything's okay. Let's see. Yep, we're good. Alrighty, my name is Nick. This is Board Game Brawl. If you're not familiar with what's going on here, this is our weekly Q&A. You ask me any kind of Qs that you want, and I give you as many A's as I possibly can. A's, not AIDS. So, yes, this is just our time to chat and go over things. In the beginning, I always say, like, what's going on with the channel? What's going on with the channel is that I'm way behind on so many reviews, it's kind of sickening. And very, very frustrating and stressful. And there's a couple of reasons for it. One is that, like I mentioned, I think last month, I knew this was coming. A lot of people that I hired for, or that hired me for previews, all launched within the same week. So a lot of them I had already had done and in the can, and so I just published those when the time came. And a lot of them I just had to rush and do right away. Like Nova Aetas, I literally got that with less than 3 days left in the campaign. So I had to rush and put it up. So that's why there was a glut of previews within the last few weeks. And so that took a lot of work. It takes as much work to do a preview as it does to do a review. It's kind of a necessary evil of the channel. And the thing is, but the main thing I would say is the new way that I do overviews. And now, first off, I want to thank everyone because everyone's been overwhelmingly positive with the feedback for the new overviews. I think it's here to stay. I'm going to do it and keep doing it. And a lot of people gave me some very good critical feedback as to like what I could change and things I can tweak around, and I did. And there's more work to be done, but I think that going forward, this is the method that we're going to use. And it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of work and a lot of effort. I think overall it's more time and more work, and therefore it's more daunting for me to like come home from work after a 10-hour day and be like, all right, I used to be like, all right, I got to get 3 reviews done tonight. Let's go ahead and do it. Now I get home and I'm like, wow, it's maybe I can get 2 done. So it is kind of frustrating, but I think overall it's better to have quality over quantity. I think I can speed up the process as I get more adept at doing it, and therefore maybe we can get up to, between 4 and 6 reviews a week on top of anything else I do with the channel. The 6 is the goal. I think 6 reviews a week plus a couple of other ancillary videos. I mean, my Q&A obviously, but also top 10 every other week, which is not like my tried and true, that's the schedule. It's just how it kind of works out. As well as any previews I have to do. If I could get to that point, I think that's a good amount of content for people. So, who knows? Stick with me. And by the way, I know that a lot of people like the previews. I mean, one of them, the Guards of Atlantis, is getting a lot of views because people are very interested in that game and are seeing an overview about it. So, I can't say that the previews are a total bad thing for the channel, but I know that people want to see reviews. That's the main thing. So I will try my best to get those out as much as I possibly can. There's a lot of cool things going on with the channel in the future. I just was like, you know what? I want to do some stuff, and there's one thing you're going to notice within the next couple of months for sure, and then maybe a little bit further out, there's going to be a huge thing that I'll be doing. So look forward to that. There's a lot of things, good things on the horizon. But let's get to the questions. That's what you are here for, after all. Hey Nick, on a scale of 1.947286603 to 9.37692967728, what is your favorite color of the alphabet? Yo mama is what it is. No. Keep up the good work. Yeah, agree. Serbia, thank you very much. Serbia, that's cool. I always like to see interesting countries that from people who are watching from there. The last expansion for Sentinels of the Multiverse has been announced. What are your views on this and on the Sentinels product line in general? That is interesting you mentioned that. I actually was just reading that article last night. I didn't know anything about it beforehand. They're calling it Sentinels of the Multiverse. It's Oblivion, but they're spelling it Obliv-Aeon, A-E-I-O-N at the end, which, okay, whatever. And it's about, like, the end of the multiverse, of the Sentinels of the Multiverse universe, or whatever. Lots of Urses going around in there. And they just put out Villains of the Multiverse, finally. I ordered that, and actually it might be down at Cool Stuff right now. I'm wondering if I have time to go pick it up today. I don't think so. What do I think about it? I like Sentinels of Multiverse a lot. It's been on my top 100 both years that I've done it. It's always it's made it onto other lists, like the cooperative games list. I just woke up, okay? Give me a break. So what do I think about ending it? Well, first off, I have my doubts about that. It is, I know that Greater Than Games combined with Dice Hate Me Games, so they have a lot more product line now and a lot of other things going on. So I don't think that they need to rest or put all of their emphasis and effort into Sentinels of the Multiverse anymore, but it's still a pretty good moneymaker and a pretty good centerpiece product for their line. So I don't know. I have my doubts that it's actually over for good. I think they're just going to change it and re-release it as something else. That would be my guess. But I am excited for the Kickstarter because I think they're doing a good thing here. I have been critical of companies that don't need to use Kickstarter before. I think they're still a small enough company that they could benefit from Kickstarter. And the way that they're doing this is not just, hey, here's the last expansion. That's it. They're doing a big collector's box you could get. They're doing some other variant cards. So I'm like, all right, they're giving people some value. And I'm interested in buying the collector's box, depending on how much it is. I really hope they don't do like, here's the $150 wooden collector's box. No, I like the big box like I got for Tanto Cuore. That was probably too much, $50. But they made up for it by giving us a playmat too. But it's still worth it. So we'll see. So I'm actually positive. I've been very critical of Greater Than and Sentinels of the Multiverse before for some of their weird practices, like how they did the rollout for that story war that they were going to do, and the artwork as usual, things like that. But I still love the game, and I'm happy that they're closing it off in the way they want to close it off. That was way too long of an answer, but I hope that answered your question. How long did it take to get your tire fixed, by the way? Yes, the saga a couple weeks ago was that I had a nail in my tire, and on top of a billion other things I had to get done that weekend, I had to worry about that. And it was a slow leak that went on for most of that week, and then it got really bad by coincidence the Saturday of that week, so I had to take care of it. And here's what happened. This is actually somewhat interesting in a very schadenfreude kind of way for you guys, is that I went to the dealership on Saturday. I actually went right after the Q&A because I was like, you know what? I just got to get it done. By that point, the slow leak became just the floodgates burst open, and it got down to like 8 tire pressure by the time I went outside, just enough for me to limp over to the tire place. And so I was like, please, patch this up. They're like, no problem. I walked home. It's 10 minutes away. Walked back. Boom. Done. Drive the car back home. And as soon as I get up to about 40 miles per hour, all of a sudden I get a tire traction warning. And the car refuses to go any faster. It stops at like 40 to 43 miles per hour. And it won't go. Oh, I'm sorry. I skipped a part of the story. So they said they couldn't patch the tire. I had to get 2 brand new tires. So that was $200 in the hole. That really sucked. Then when I was driving home, I was getting this traction warning. So I had to go back the next day. The next day they say, oh, our mechanic's not here today. You have to come back tomorrow. I'm like, okay. So the next morning I go there, and the mechanic's there, and they're like, okay, we'll take a look. We don't really know what's going on, but we'll see what happens. It should be done by like 9 a.m. I'm like, great, well, I have to be at work at 9:30, so please let me know. 10:30 rolls around. They just finish up and realize, oh yeah, we put the wrong tires on the car. Long story short. I was like, too late. It's already a long story. And and then the saga is still not over. So the car's fine. It's driving fine. But before that happens, I had one faulty tire sensor. Like on my dashboard, it would tell me what the PSI of my tires is, and one of those sensors was off, so it was reading as dash. Okay, it's a pain in the ass, but that's fine. Now all 4 of them are out. It never ends, right? I can't win. All right, let's move on to other questions not related to my tires. Sorry. Hello from Italy. Cool. The new overviews are indeed good. I like the touch of music added too. It's funny though, I've heard people say they hate the music, but the one thing I'm not going to do for now is put music underneath me talking at the beginning and end. I think that would probably kill people. Question, are there any upcoming deck builders that you're excited about? Well, there's the expansion for XenoShift. I don't know if that counts. As far as brand new deck builders, Honestly, I don't know. I don't think that there are. If you look at like my, I don't think so. If you look at like my top 10 anticipated games list, none of them are deck builders. I don't think. I could be wrong on that. Major solo deck building games are not as prevalent as they once were. We're kind of slowing down on that. But you're starting to see deck building in other games as like one component. They're going to do the re-release, the re-implementation of Mage Knight as Star Trek Frontiers, which will, I presume, have deck building just like the first one did. So we'll see. Well, look, your follow-up question has to do with games like that. Hybrid games that have deck building and other mechanics. But yeah, like I said, Star Trek Frontiers. That's... yes, and you're right. I think that is the future of deck builders for the most part. Bugbear, do you ruin games to get attention? Hey, Bugbear, where are you? Okay, I actually have both of my dogs this weekend because my ex went on a trip, so I have Honeybee, which is always great. I'm always like a little bit happier overall when I've got Honeybee with me. Let me see. Honeybee, come here. I don't know. She may or may not come. She may be buried under... She likes to bury herself in the covers of my bed and just sleep. There she is. Come here. I don't know if you'll be able to see her. Come here. She probably won't get up. All right, but she's here. And Bugbear, would she ruin games to get attention? She used to do that. She's better about that now. I think the last thing she destroyed the orange meeple from Roll for the Galaxy. And I had to get that replaced. And although actually the people who were playing it on the other table felt bad about it and ordered me one anyways. And because no one noticed. It was like the piece they weren't using. So Bugbear was chewing on it underneath the table for like 20 minutes. And I was like, oh, guys. Hey, Nick, I wanted to ask about your thoughts regarding the Deluxe Vinos Kickstarter. The shipping is unacceptable in my opinion, but they're insisting on it. Any thoughts? Well, I haven't taken a look at it. Vinos, I have heard, is like an incredibly heavy game. And Euro game. And not really my speed, based just on those statistics there. Come here. But there she is. So that might be enough to put me off from it in the first place. But also there's the fact that viticulture exists. So if I really want to play a winemaking Euro, that's kind of what I'm interested in. But, shipping is always a problem. I don't know if that's ever something that's going to go away on Kickstarter, especially internationally. I don't know if you're international or not. But there you go. You can see her. But I think that you're talking about games that weigh dozens of, it could be, I don't know, a dozen pounds. I'm not really sure on that. Hold on a second. I want to look at the Kickstarter page. I wasn't even aware that they were going to do a new Kickstarter, a Vinos Deluxe Edition. Which company does this? Griffin Eagle, of course. Well, they're making a ton of money. Yeah, I think Griffin Eagle is really going into that Queen methodology, where they're just like, why leave money on the table? Let's just Kickstarter all of our games. Vintage 2016 received one copy of Vinos Deluxe for $59. That seems reasonable. So, plus all the... they made all the stretch goals a separate pledge. That's lame. And, there's 9 people backed it without the stretch goals. Come on. It's ridiculous. Signed and numbered. Who cares about that? Would you pay $10 extra for that for something that's worthless? You realize that, right? I think that a signature on a box is worthless. Where's the shipping? Yeah, I don't see the shipping here. But, here we go. $17. That's reasonable. Depends on where you are. Let's see. Who's the highest? South America is $41. That's a lot. I don't know. I kind of think that... the other day, so through Patreon, I do a sell sheet where people who pledge at a certain level get access to my old stock of games that are on their way out, and they can buy them from me directly to help the channel out. And one person was like, hey, I live in Australia. Could you see how much it would cost to purchase these couple of games? And it was astronomical. And I tried my best to get them the best price possible, but I said, dude, you're paying twice as much of what the game is worth just to ship it. It's not worth it. So, I don't know. Shipping is just a pain in the ass for everybody. I try. That's the one thing I try not to come down too hard on Kickstarter project creators for. A separate person says I impulse pledged Vinos until I realized I'm paying $120 more for a mere update to a game I already own. That's the crux of it, right? I think I probably regret. I have a buyer's remorse for the Tokaido Collector's Edition, which, by the way, if I may have my own Kickstarter gripe, it's very disheartening to see a game that you backed on Kickstarter show up at the store, cool stuff, yesterday, when you haven't received it yet as a backer. And that's because I made I think it's the ill-advised decision of backing the game in the first place, but also of getting the painted set, and we all got screwed on that. And when they decided, that's a whole long story, but when they decided that, hey, we're going to ship out the normal pledges first, and not give the people who pledged for the painted option to change their minds, because we had the option, I don't think it was even extra at our pledge level, that was really aggravating. How much do you value player interaction? For example, I really like Viceroy, but seem to only concern myself with my pyramid. Well, that's true. There's a lot of games that are like that. In fact, I would say there's a lot of Euro-style games and abstract games that are very much like that. And it is important to me, but to a degree. So, for instance, eventually I'm going to get around to reviewing Legacy and the new expansion. And the new expansion to Legacy, at least one of the elements, lets you play with family cards. It makes every family more distinct. It's not just your patriarch/matriarch card that you have. You actually now have a set of family cards and special powers and things, just to give you the general glossing overview. But some of those things let you do interactions with your opponents, and some of them are kind of mean things. And I'm like, I don't know. Was I really looking for that in this game? So I think it's a double-edged sword. Sometimes that interaction is nice, but mostly I like interaction in the sense of like either direct battle where it's expected, or not that I like Settlers of Catan, but I like the trading in Settlers of Catan, or just Catan now. So I don't think it's totally necessary for me. I mean, listen, I love deck building games. Many deck building games are just, I do my thing, you guys just kind of do your thing. The only interaction is who gets to what cards first if they run out. Think of Dominion. Although Dominion had some things like that. There's like the Witch and the cards that do kind of the attack cards. But that always felt like more of a forced interaction. And you could just completely ignore it if you wanted to. I would like to know how the releasing of games work. For example, reviewers did a review of Watson and Holmes, but you can't pre-order it or even buy it. Is this game going to be released soon in the US? There's a lot of different factors that come into play here. I believe what you're referring to is the fact that at Essen this past year, in November, was it November or October? October, maybe. Watson and Holmes had a very limited release there. And also the game Pursuit of Happiness had a very limited release there. Pursuit of Happiness, which is now on Kickstarter for a new printing of it. And people who happened to be at Essen got their copies, and some of them happened to be reviewers, and they reviewed the game. And that's unfortunate. I mean, it's not unfortunate for the reviewers if they get a copy of the game, and I've done this before. I review a lot of little Japanese games you can't get anywhere. So it just happens like that. And you just have to kind of sit around as an audience member if you like what you saw and be like, well, I hope this eventually gets released. It's also true as well that sometimes reviewers get copies of a game way in advance of when the game's actually coming out. Maybe not way in advance, but I've definitely gotten copies of games before they've actually hit, like Time Stories as a more notable example. But I think there's still reviews that serve a purpose. Like, for instance, when I review little Japanese games, I always review games first with the thought, would I enjoy wanting to watch this? Would I enjoy the content? And then I think to myself, well, if I bring a lot of attention to this game, does it increase the possibility that it will actually be released one day to the general audience? I mean, I hope that I had a little bit to do with Heart of Crown, but I doubt it. But I've certainly talked that game up a lot. Now it is going to get a release, and if I had anything at all to do with that, I'd be very happy, and it was totally worth it for me. But otherwise, it's just a waiting game and a hoping game. Or you can import it. Check out Board Game Bliss. Have they ever had? They might have had Watson and Holmes at some point, because Bosco over there at Board Game Bliss gets a lot of games from Essen every year and tries to put as many as he can in the store. Although they sell out very quickly, so you got to be on the ball for sure. Top 10 every other week? Really, that would be good. What topics are you thinking of? Well, I'm hopefully, don't hold me to that schedule, by the way, obviously, but hopefully by the end of this week, you'll see a top 10 solo games list. Let's see, I need to come up with some new topics. I've had some things kicking around. I just have to figure out, like, what's most interesting to me, to the audience. It needs to be interesting to me first so that I can speak passionately about it. If I do a top 10 that I'm not that interested in, I'm just like going through the motions, I think the audience can feel that and sense that, so it kind of sucks. But I've had some thoughts, like genre-themed ones, like fantasy, science fiction, Euro games. The Euro games one is one I've wanted to do for a while, but it's very daunting to me now, and I wonder if it's a theme of top 10 that needs to be retired overall, because it's very easy to say what an Ameritrash game is. It's much more difficult to say what a Euro game is at this point. Is Seasons a Euro game? I think so. I mean, there's resource management, but there's also like a lot of card interaction, like Magic the Gathering, which I wouldn't call a Euro game. Games like City of Iron really skirt the boundaries in some ways as to whether it's a Euro game or not. So, that's been a tougher one, but I'm always welcome to suggestions as well. Reasonable suggestions. Some people are like, do top 10 really specific things. I'm like, no. In Chaos in Your World, have you ever or did any modifications to the game when 3 people are playing? I've never played it with 3 players. I don't think I have. I've definitely played it with 4 and 5. No, I've never played it with 3. That doesn't interest me. I think that game needs 4. I think it's best with 4, not even 5. 5's fine because if you have to have the Horned Rat expansion to do that, and I'm okay with that. But 4 players is where that game is at. So I don't know. I don't know what modifications, because it doesn't seem like there'd be enough going on. But I'm sure there's people on Board Game Geek who have discussed that at length. I don't watch anime, but Bleach is both incredibly popular and yet rarely recommended by people. Why is that? That's a great question. And I was a Bleach fan. I actually watched it week by week as it was coming out. It was my Sunday ritual for a while, was to download the new episode of Hunter x Hunter, the new 2011 reboot of it, and the new episodes of Bleach before it ended. And I'm sure Bleach will come back when they they're doing the last story arc in the manga right now, although they've been doing the last story arc for the last 2 years. So, but when that ends, they'll probably do an anime version of that just to wrap up the whole series, and it'll be good because it's just battle after battle after battle after battle. If that's all you want. The problems with Bleach. First off, it's a much better manga than it is an anime. That there's some series like that. I think One Piece is like that to a degree, but I can understand people liking the anime just as much. But definitely with Bleach, the manga is better. The anime, like so many anime that are long-running weekly serials, is full of filler. Filler after filler after filler. They just do entire arcs, like 26-episode arcs, which is 26 weeks of time if you are watching the show week by week. Some of them are better than others. None of them are as good or captivating as the main story. You just are sitting there thinking, I just want them to get back to the main story. I don't care about this side quest that will not impact the main storyline at all. Let's get rid of it and be done with it. So that is why a lot of people can't recommend Naruto, One Piece to a degree, and Bleach. One Piece has filler arcs too. So that's one reason. The other thing is that Bleach, while it has great and interesting characters, powers, and the way that the powers work and the types of factions and all that are all very, very interesting. The show in the manga is written very poorly. There's tons of plot holes, things that are never explained, things that don't make sense. Are the people that are the Soul Reapers and Shinigami supposed to be ghosts? Because people that die go to that world, but when they go to that world, even though the show takes place in the modern day, the spirits of the dead live as feudal Japanese peasants, and they still need to eat and drink, and they can still die again. None of this is explained. There's so many just weird things. And it's another power escalation show, too, where it's like, I need to get strong enough to beat this guy. Oh, there's a new guy who's more powerful. I need to get strong enough to beat this guy. And none of it's handled very cleverly. So it's a very guilty pleasure show. It's like getting candy from the grocery store while you're in line waiting to check out your real food. It's a thing that you do and you're excited about it, and then afterwards you're like, I can't recommend that anyone buy those Reese cups, but I did it. So that's my history with Bleach. I just got out of bed for this Q&A so early in the day. Should I have Fruit Loops, Frosted Flakes, or just a bowl of sugar with milk added? That's basically what you'd be eating anyways, so I say cut out the middleman. It's 1 a.m. on my side, and I have a stomachache from bad milk. I just found an amazing... Well, it's more for antacid. But Tums has these chewable things that are like gum. They're amazing. They're good. Like, I'd actually just eat them like candy if I didn't know better. Because the other night I was up in the middle of the night, I thought my stomach and throat was full of fire. That's how bad I had an acid reflux. Milk doesn't go bad. You had unprepared cheese. Nick, what's your favorite breakfast? I love sausage, egg, and cheese sandwiches. Is he talking about a flat tire game? Did you play Undercity? I reviewed Undercity. You can go and check it out. And do you care about the Kickstarter for the Widower's Wood expansion coming to Kickstarter? What? What's Widower's Wood? Is that for Undercity? No. See, this is different. I think. Yeah. Widower's Wood. This is going to be for... This isn't the Undercity. This is the Iron Kingdoms Adventure board game. They're not compatible, are they? Oh, it is. Oh, I see. Well, that's interesting. Look, here's the problem. And my review of Undercity, I think, was pretty lukewarm if you go back and watch it. I've cooled on it even more, to the point where it's kind of on its way out of my collection. And it's because it's just so generic compared to other adventure games and dungeon crawling games and cooperative games. It's just so like a game that was from 10 years ago. Like, if it had come out before Descent, I would have been like, this is amazing. And then Descent would have replaced it. They need to do something to make that game more exciting, to change up the system. Maybe they'll do that with Widower's Wood. I don't know. They're actually doing a special character pack expansion, and I know this because I input the thing into the database for on BGG. But that's not going to change anything that drastically. It looks interesting, though. I hope that it does change the game dramatically. Nick, have you heard of any new and upcoming expansions for Mancala? Yes, there's a new expansion coming out for Mancala where every time that you pick up bowls out of a stone, you throw them in the face of your opponent. And if they cry, they lose. Hey, Nick, which TV shows do you like at the moment? Do you like True Detective? True Detective is one I never got into. I watched a couple of episodes of it, and I meant to keep going with it, but I just got sidetracked by other things. I've been told Season 2 is abysmal, so that kind of puts me off from investing in the show, although I know they're self-contained. So I will probably get around to watching True Detective at some point. I know there's like a lot of Lovecraftian references. That interests me. I just finished last week Mr. Robot, amazing show. Terrible name, as a friend of mine pointed out, because people hear the name of the show and they're like, what is that? Some sort of weird science fiction cartoon thing? No. I don't even want to describe it too much, but it's like has to do with corporations, hacking in the modern day, and a main character who may be insane. It's a wonderful show. Really loved it. Flash and Arrow are back on TV, and they're good. I think Flash might be slipping a bit, but I still like it. I think Arrow is actually the better show this season so far. The Legends of Tomorrow is actually surprisingly good. I got to watch the second episode, but the first episode, very cheesy and gimmicky, but I still had fun with it. I liked in Legends of Tomorrow, this is kind of a spoiler, I don't think so though. So when everyone heard about DC's Legends of Tomorrow and how it had the Atom and the Hawk people and it had Captain Cold and the Black Canary or okay, I won't reveal that much, but the woman who would be Black Canary. They had all these different people, and they're like, Legends of Tomorrow, these are like C-list heroes and villains from the DC universe. And in the pilot, they completely own up to that. And it's revealed that the reason why this time traveler gathered them all together is because they're actually completely forgettable to the timeline. They're expendable. It's kind of like in time stories how you take control of receptacles who can be forgotten by history, so it doesn't matter if they die. That's what the Legends of Tomorrow are. And I love that they went in that angle, because now everyone's like, oh, well, crap. We're just like nothing. And so now they have to decide, well, do we keep doing this and going on these adventures trying to make a name for ourselves? So that's pretty interesting. Other things I'm watching. Actually, I was just watching Space Cop the movie. I highly recommend that. It's so dense. There's so many things going on in every single image. What else was I watching? I watched an anime called Gate, something in Japanese, and I'm very disappointed in it. I think that anime and I are slowly parting ways, at least modern anime. I'll always love the classics that I, like watch my top 10 list. But it's like the premise of Gate is amazing. It's about modern day, what would happen if a fantasy world, like a Final Fantasy type video game world, invaded Japan. Like, there was a gate opened up, hence the name of the show, and like invading armies and orcs and goblins that they had under control just started pouring into the center of Tokyo in the modern day, and how the Japanese self-defense force decided to fight back, and then gathered an army and went into the gate themselves, and are now just like slowly taking over territory in the new world. That is a premise that is amazing, and I love the idea of it. And there are some bits of it that are very good. It has, within like 2 episodes, it devolves into a harem show, because the main character just keeps picking up cute anime girls from the other side. It has a ton of goofy tropes. Like, of course, there's a whole long scene in an episode where they're all sitting in a bathtub, the girls talking about the main character. And nothing makes any sense. Like, they go there, and none of the soldiers that go to the other side are surprised that there's a giant dragon. Everyone just kind of treats it like, yeah, of course, why not? We assumed there would be. No one is surprised by anything. It's really disappointing to me. I don't recommend it. Thank you for all the kind words. I don't read the compliments to myself just because I don't want to seem too arrogant, but I read them all. So thank you very much, everyone who's saying nice stuff. After having previewed Nova Aetas, are you backing it? Do you think it is different enough from another recent Kickstarter game like Swords and Sorcery? I never back games that I do previews for as a matter of course now, not because I don't necessarily think it's worthy of backing or in either direction. I tried to keep my full final opinion devoid of anything. I just don't want to have any kind of image of impropriety there, although I guess no one would really think that. But as well, I don't want people to like say, oh, look, Nick did a preview. Let's go to his Kickstarter account and see if he actually liked it. Wink, wink. I don't want that to happen, so I tried not to do that. There's also the hope that the publisher will send me a final copy of it without me having to back it, which is not really happens, actually. I think a lot of people are happy getting my preview video and they don't want me to do the review. So, but we'll see. But Nova Aetas, watch my preview. I think I did an admirable job of laying out what the game is, and if it interests you, check it out. I know I know it ends soon, and I know that they have unlocked a lot of stuff. By the time I did the preview, they'd already funded well over their amount and unlocked a lot of stretch goals. So, how much longer does it take to do the new overviews? What's the process? The process is this, and I have to work on this. But first and foremost, I go through the rules exhaustively because I'm not going to remember. Usually what will happen is I've played the game several times, but then I go down to do the overview, and I'll just be referring to the rulebook as I film, right? Now what I do is I go over the rulebook exhaustively and I write out a script ahead of time. This is what takes a while. Of how I want to quickly hit the major points of the game. I'll type that all out. I'll record it, just the audio, so that's the overview audio that you hear. And then I'll go and film the necessary parts to have underneath as a bed while I'm talking, so that I know what I have to cover and what I don't. So if I talk about the equipment cards, then I know I have to film the equipment cards and try to have enough footage to then go, because it's easier for me to edit video than audio. So I'll have my audio track, and then I'll just edit the video to fit the audio track, and then just throw that into my ins and outs, I call them, which are always, that hasn't changed. So that my method of doing that hasn't changed. So it's work. It's a lot of work. And it's interesting because when I do a normal overview, I know okay, I just have to set up the game. I'll set up the game as if I'm about to play it. But now I have to sometimes, if I only want to focus on certain cards, I have to film those first and then push those out of the way, bring in another component, film that, then set up the game. So it's tough. Nick, Pandemic Cthulhu, weirdest mashup ever, or do we live in the best time to be alive? If you don't know what's going on, and I think this news broke just yesterday or the day before, and I shared it on Facebook, they are making a version of Pandemic themes to the Cthulhu. And no, it is not a joke. It's called Reign of Cthulhu. It's in BGG. There's someone, it was at the toy show or something like that, and so someone took a picture of the box, the front and back, and it's been spreading around. And there's the official image put out from Z-Man as well, and the publisher who's doing it. And look, I think it might be a fine game. It's based on Pandemic, so Pandemic is a good game, and it seems interesting. They're taking it in a somewhat different direction there's miniatures and things like that. Okay, great. I just saw it, and I'm sorry, even knowing a little more details, I am just deflated. It's just no one wants to come up with anything original anymore. That is why Time Stories was so refreshing. That's why, I'm just tired. That's why Kingdom Death was so refreshing. It was just yes, this is so much different. They take some hallmarks from some other things. Kingdom Death is sort of, fantasy, dungeon crawling, but it's just so different. And that's what I'm looking for. And when I see that they're just taking a game that's already been put out and throwing Cthulhu on it again, it's hard to not get depressed about it. It really is. And I'm sorry. I know people, they have a right to make money, and I know people are going to buy it. And at the end of the day, people are going to be like, well, that's all that matters, right? If they buy it, if people didn't buy it, they wouldn't make it. But shouldn't you want to, can't it be both? Can't it be, yeah, they want to make money and they do something creatively fulfilling? Not just slapping Cthulhu on it. And the co-designer of the game with Matt Leacock is a guy named Chuck Yeager, who, if you look at his resume of board games on Board Game Geek, 2 of the other games are Cthulhu re-themes, or Cthulhu games. They're games that he just made and slapped Cthulhu on it. And I know you can say, Nick, you're a hypocrite. One of your favorite games is Eldritch Horror. You just made that your #1 cooperative game. Eldritch Horror was a reimplementation of a game called Arkham Horror, which I don't like Arkham Horror that much. I love Eldritch Horror. Whichever one of those you want to choose, they actually that was one of the original forebears of a Cthulhu-based board game, and have taken it and run with it and made it so interesting and diverse and so much stuff in it. They built a game from the ground up for that, and then with Eldritch Horror, they, just, I think, in my opinion, streamlined it, made it better. But all these other games just, I don't know. I don't want to sound like, get off my lawn, and back in my day we had original board games. But it just breaks my heart that people can't put forth the effort to make an original IP. They don't want to put out that effort. They don't want to take the chance and the risk. When it's just we put Cthulhu on it, we'll sell a bunch of copies. Look how much money Cthulhu Wars made on Kickstarter. Solid. Yep. Whatever. What is your favorite band and or song of all time? Well, don't make me do that. I can tell you some of my favorites. I like The Cure. If I had to pick songs from The Cure, I like Pictures of You. I like Letter to Elise. Yeah, those are good songs to them. I like Bad Religion. Bad Religion has got a ton of great songs. I like the Mountain Goats. For Mountain Goats, I like Game Shows Such Our Lives is a great song. Up the Wolves, great song. Yeah. Don't number one though, there's no way. I'm way too fluid on music. Why are Dice Hate Me games so expensive? I never noticed that. Are they? They usually do very small games. I thought they were cheap. Okay, here's the kind of question I get a lot that I have to admit I'm getting a little tired of answering. if you could only own, in this case, it's Super Dungeon Explorer or Arcadia Quest, which would you choose? But other people, it's like many different things. I've heard really crazy different combinations, like, would you own Cosmic Encounter or Blood Rage? Would you? I mean, I'm getting to the point where, and I'm not upset about it, and you have every right to ask the question. I don't want to be a dick about it. But I will say that this is the kind of question I don't know that I should be answering, because those games are different, and every game is going to be different for different people. Do you like PvP MOBA style combat? Arcadia Quest. Do you like more cooperative style combat and like Gauntlet the game? Super Dungeon Explorer. Do you just want the miniatures? Super Dungeon Explorer probably has better miniatures overall. All these different things have to be taken into account. And I would also say, hey, I've reviewed both those games, so go check those out too. Do you know any other racing games that you enjoy? Magical Athlete. Have you seen the documentary on, I think this was already asked like last week or the week before, have you seen the documentary on Netflix about Steve Avery, the game designer? It makes you think. It certainly does. I don't know why Steve killed those people. I really don't. I know that, I mean, he's a good game designer and a nice guy, but look, if you commit murder, I have to, mark you off the list. I can't be friends with you. I'm just kidding. Different Steve Avery. What's your next top 10 going to be about? Top 10 solo games. If you could pick any celebrity co-host for your channel, who would it be? Celebrity co-host? Well, I always wanted a female co-host, so we could start there just to narrow it down. Emma Watson, purely based on her interest in games. No, who would be interesting? As a top, let's narrow it down to female co-host. Who would actually be into games? Who would be a gamer? And I'm not going to go with the easy answer, Felicia Day, because I'm not a fan of hers. I don't know. Like, oh yeah, I know who. Because not that she would necessarily be like her character, but she has given shades of that in interviews I've seen. I'm sorry, I want to know her real name before I say that. Let's see, who is it? Emily Bett Rickards, who is the actress who plays Felicity in Arrow. Because Felicity is a total dork and fun, and I think that would be a great combination if she acted like that in real life. But who knows? Nick, two-part question. Are you going to be doing your own weekly Kickstarter updates, and what were your top Kickstarter games of 2015? I will not be doing weekly Kickstarter updates. I am considering doing a... no, I'm not going to do anything specifically Kickstarter related, but I might do like a monthly roundup where I might talk about games that were that I backed on Kickstarter or something like that. I don't know. In addition to the reviews that I did for the month. And what were my top Kickstarter games of 2015? That I liked. I mean, Super Dungeon Explorer had a good Kickstarter. Arcadia Quest. What else happened in 2015? Yeah, stuff like that. I know you hate Carcassonne and don't seem to be fond of Ticket to Ride and Catan. Which huge gateway style game are you a fan of? Which huge gateway style game? I like Dominion. It's not a huge game, but it's huge in sales. Were you one of the cool kids in school? No. When is Heart of Crown going up on Kickstarter? That's an interesting question, because that game was supposed to be on Kickstarter last fall. January's almost over. Might be starting tomorrow, for all I know, the last day of January. But it should have been soon. Just finished One Punch. Any other anime you recommend that don't already have 100 plus episodes out of? Yeah, watch Parasite if you never watched that. That's the last one I finished. It's a good show overall. Don't already have it. That's only, I think, a 26 episode commitment, and then it's done. 26 half-hour episodes. What else was I watching that I liked? I mean, there's a lot I could recommend. As far as like newer ones, I'm a little bit more out of the loop on that. So, but I did start watching Tokyo Ghoul, which is from a few years ago. It's interesting so far. Hey, did you manage to play Fallout in the end? No, I'm gonna wait on Fallout. I'm gonna wait until, because I want to play it on console as well. I prefer to play it on console. I know people are like, that's sacrilege, but yeah, I'll probably buy a PlayStation 4 when they come down in price, and then get the Fallout 4 Game of the Year edition that has all the expansions after a few years. How about a top 10 miniatures plastic crack / board games? I don't know. Is that interesting? I'd rather talk about game mechanics. Although I was thinking of doing a very quick top 10 of top 10 board game covers. What's your favorite 26-episode anime series? Of only 26 episodes? I'd have to go back and look at my top 10 list. But, I mean, I guess it would be Evangelion, the original, despite the fact that the episodes 25 and 26 were garbage. Which unused theme mechanics would you like to see in deck builders? Okay. What unused theme mechanism would you like to see in deck builders? As far as theme goes, they've done a lot of different themes for deck builders at this point. I'd like to see some more like standard themes. Like there was a game I did a preview for, and I won't really comment on whether I liked it or not, but it had an interesting theme where you were cooking. That was an interesting theme I would like to see more of on a grander scale. Like I'd like to see Ristorante Italia as a deck building game. Might be interesting. Why anime? Why? Because it's something I liked when I was a kid and just kind of carried over till life. Have you heard the last Express episode of Secret Cabal where they talk about reviewing games of their own sponsor and the integrity of board game reviewers? I haven't listened to that because I don't listen to the Secret Cabal. But I don't know. It's an interesting question. Yes, I know that they are sponsored by Stronghold Games, and they also review Stronghold Games games. I think most infamously, back when I did listen to the show a long time ago, they reviewed the game Panic Station, which is one of the... I have never played it, but it's got one of the worst reviewed games of all time. Cool Stuff Games cannot give them away. Like they just had it on sale again for like $5. We're talking about a full board game here, people. And it's $5. That's how bad that game apparently is, and people just don't want it. And they reviewed it and gave it a bad review, and then the owner of Stronghold Games argued with them and debated with them and browbeat them into therefore recanting and saying, oh, we played it again and it was kind of okay if you go into it with this expectation. So yeah, I'm glad that they're addressing that. I think that's something to be addressed. Thoughts on Tiny Epic Western? Tiny Epic Defenders was okay. I have no interest in playing Tiny Epic Kingdoms or Galaxy, and I have no interest in Tiny Epic Western. Any game with Tiny Epic, I'm going to try to avoid moving forward, and especially if it's a Western, because I don't like a Western theme. Does Bugbear like Honeybee, or does she get bitchy? It's an interesting question. Honeybee is actually meaner to Bugbear than the other way around. Honeybee is a sweet dog. She's like, if you want a dog just to cuddle with, that's your dog right there. But she is... If anything involving food is around, if you try to pick Honeybee up while Bugbear is in the vicinity, she'll start to freak out and growl. Bugbear loves Honeybee. Bugbear is much happier when Honeybee is here. No doubt about it. But they still fight, and, you know... so I don't know. I don't know that Honeybee loves Bugbear, but I know they do. The other way around, they do. Would you ever be interested in contributors to your channel based on your terms? It's funny, someone just asked me that the other day, someone who I seriously considered, but no. I think I want to just do this on my own for a lot of reasons. And I know that seems selfish and arrogant of me, but I just want to see how far I can go on my own. I don't want to have to worry. I mean, obviously, look, it's been hard for me to keep up with my own schedule. I don't want to have to worry about if someone contributes a video, having to have the time to watch it, see if it's good for the channel, put it up, put it out in a timely fashion. I don't want people to rely on me for that kind of stuff when I can barely have time to take care of the channel myself. And if something were to happen, if I just decided to, or I wouldn't decide to quit, but let's just say that, I don't know, the channel just kind of fades away. It doesn't do as well as I wanted it to. Other people's channels sort of take all the air out of the room, and it's just nothing. I don't think this will ever happen, but if it ever did, if the channel were to ever go under for whatever bizarre reason, I'm just being paranoid here, I wouldn't want to anyone else to go down with me, I guess. I would rather just live and die on my own terms with the channel, which sounds weird, I know, but that's just how I've always thought about it. Lots of dungeon crawlers are generic now. Well, that's true. There's only so many you can do. Like Dungeon Saga, which I'll review eventually. Do you think Nova Aetas is worth the $140 price tag for all of the stretch goals? You have to figure that out for yourself based on what I did in my preview, based on what there's other preview videos out as well, and the amount of content that you're getting. You know, I've certainly spent that much on games before. Okay, I just got my Ninja All-Stars pledge. A lot of the reviews are complaining about the combat system. How does this stuff not come up in development? I don't know. I didn't get a review copy of that. I didn't back it on Kickstarter. And it's interesting. I am a very big proponent of Sodapop miniatures. I have talked up Super Dungeon Explorer to death. I've always mentioned that they run really great Kickstarters. I love the game itself and the expansions they've put out. And I always talk glowingly about them. And I think I was the only major reviewer who didn't get a copy of the game for review. Now, I could take that personally, but I could also take it as, oh, Nick is the one who has no problems giving a very bad review to a game. Maybe we shouldn't send it to him. I don't know. But that game is definitely fishy for a lot of reasons. And I don't really have an interest in playing it unless it was sent to me as a review copy. I might be wrong. Maybe it's great. But I thought something was bad about that game from the get-go because on Kickstarter, you could not... I defy you to figure out in one go what you were pledging for. It's like there were, okay, pledge here and you get this faction box. Oh, but if you pledge at this level, you get a bunch of factions, but they're all the generic factions. If you want the specific factions, you have to add them on, or you pledge at this level. And if you pledge at this level, you can choose in the pledge manager which factions you get. Oh, wow. I was just like, you know what? I'm not doing this. How dare you read The Flash? Well, look, The Flash is still a great show. It's still better than everything else that's on TV. Most of everything else is on TV. But it's had some weak episodes this season. Some plot threads I'm kind of sick of. I hated how they resolved the thing with, or maybe it's resolved. Who knows what happens next week. But the thing with Patty and Barry, I was like, what just happened? The AV Club said this much better than I possibly could. But let me throw this out there, because I think this is interesting. Excuse me. I'm dying. In The Flash, he constantly is like, he'll just randomly decide. This was Iris in the first season and Patty in this season. We can't tell her. I can't tell her my secret identity. I can't tell her that I'm the Flash. It's going to put her in danger. Why would I possibly do that? I can't let someone else that I care about get into danger. Really? Because the Flash's secret identity in the show is the worst kept secret. So many people know his secret identity. And this season, you have the whole Team Flash, which is Cisco and Caitlin and the Harry Wells and Joe, the cop, and now Iris. They finally had to tell her that. And who else? I mean, Zoom. And I mean, so many people know his secret identity that he cares about. What's one more person? It's absurd. And as they pointed out in the AV Club, telling her keeps her safer because now she's not ignorant and she knows what's up. So that makes no sense. The whole premise for them breaking up and her moving away makes no sense whatsoever. They need to drop that nonsense, okay? They're trying to force drama into the show, which is fine. I'm mildly interested in what's going on with the West family, but that was ridiculous. So that I have a big problem with. I also felt like this episode with this past week with Reverse Flash returning was just like a really silly plot device just to get him back in the show. Did you get Firestorm Zero? And if not, are you? I did not back it. It seemed interesting, but I've just got too much on my plate right now. You should make getting a final copy a part of the agreement to doing a preview. They're already paying me as a client to do the preview. I'm not really interested in like holding them hostage to do that. And what if the game never funds? So it's like, you know, I just didn't think it was worth it to really pick at that thread. What game do you wish existed? Theme, mechanic. Well, I wish Final Fantasy Tactics the game actually existed. How's your relationship with Bugbear with her being more famous than you? Do you guys have tense dinners together all the time? When we're down on the floor with our faces each in our bowl of food, she won't even look at me. It's really sad. But if you think our relationship is strained now because she's the star of the channel, just wait in about a month or two. Do you think swatting will... What? Okay. Do you think swatting will ever happen in the board gaming world during a live stream? That would be amusing. Please don't do that to me. I'd like to see it happen to someone else, though, because I'm like that. Do you think there are enough sport-themed board games? There could be less. I'm not into sports, so you're picking up the... you're barking up the wrong tree there. What kind of books do you read aside from game instructions? At this point, nothing. I'm really behind on reading books. I'd like to get back into it, but I would read fantasy, science fiction, and comic books, graphic novels. Emma Watson? Emma Stone? Nah. That's a battle you ain't going to win there. What? I don't understand your comment, person. Tomboy in the house. I don't know. All right, I'm looking for a Space Wars game. Any suggestion? Forbidden Stars? I mean, first off, war game I'm using very loosely here. They're not technically war games. If you want an actual war game with that kind of style, Hex Encounter, chits, and things like that, Space Empires 4X is probably what you're looking for. That's not my speed. But I would recommend Forbidden Stars. Apparently Star Wars Rebellion is very good when that comes out, whenever it comes out. I don't know if that's going to be March or April. Yeah, we had another good turnout. We're at 88 now. I saw it up at 91 at some point when I actually bothered to look. What car do you drive? What car do you wish to drive? I drive a 2010 Chevy Cobalt. I wish to drive... I don't know. I have pretty low ambitions when it comes to that. I'd love to get a Tesla, I think. But as far as the turnout goes, do you think it's the regular time and time slots or over the last few weeks that helps? Yeah, I think so. I think people can actually plan for it, and we have repeat people coming back. And I think it's a decent time slot. Saturday, early in the day, so people might be hanging around before they go and do their Saturday things. I think it's a good time. I might be wrong, but can't you play Super Dungeon Explorer Arcadia Quest style, but not vice versa? Because Super Dungeon Explorer comes with the arcade mode cards. Arcade mode is fully cooperative mode. That's what the arcade mode is. That's where one player is not an overlord controlling all the monsters. And so arcade mode is just all the monsters are on autopilot and the heroes just do their thing. There are arena rules for Super Dungeon Explorer, but they're not. I don't think they're officially codified into a book. You have to download them. I've never tried it. I agree with the top 10 plastic toys list. Well, I'll think about it. Maybe if I could come at it from an interesting angle, I'll do it. What is a valuable piece of information that you would like to know about your audience? I would love to know how diverse the audience is. I've always thought that I have more female and minority viewers than other channels, but I have no proof of that. There's not really a great way for me to do that because herding my audience together is kind of like herding cats at a certain point. A lot of people come together for this, which is great, but like I would like if I had a website that was really up and running, I would put maybe a big poll there and see what we would find out about that, because I would like to. I've always wanted to sort of bring together people who feel disenfranchised by some of the other online content of board gaming, because it can be if you go to some of these gaming conventions, I call them the white people jamborees. And it's usually a bunch of white men, and women have much more of a pronounced presence than they did some time ago, but it's still, white women primarily, and the amount of women is not anywhere where it should be, because we have done such a poor job of making this something other than just a boys club, a white boys club. So I would be very interested to know how diverse my audience is, and if it's not that diverse, what can I do to fix that? I don't know. Bringing in other contributors would be an idea for that, I suppose. What is your favorite Euro? Again, I don't know if you consider it a Euro, but Seasons would be the one. Marvel or DC? Everyone asks me this all the time. I'm going to say Marvel overall, but it's a toss-up. I think on average, I define the Marvel universe to have many more interesting characters. But there are a few characters from DC that I like much more than like all of the characters from Marvel. Like Green Lantern. I'm a big Green Lantern fan. I think even Green Arrow is interesting. Like even the original, like the comic book version of Green Arrow as opposed to the TV show. Batman, The Flash. These are very interesting characters that I think, there's always corollaries. There's always like that version in the other world, right? Like Hawkeye compared to Green Arrow. But I still think that DC's done the better job with those. But Marvel has the better teams. Marvel's got the X-Men. Marvel has the Avengers. Those have always been better for me than the Justice League and the Doom Patrol. It's funny that the X-Men copied the Doom Patrol. What is a game that you love that is difficult to get other players to play? Mine is Dice Masters. They all went to swing? I don't know what that means. But any two-player game is tough. But Dice Masters would be tough too. Eldritch Horror. Games that are really long that I love. Eldritch Horror is really hard to get to the table. Cosmic Encounter is polarizing. Some people would love to play it with me. Some people would hate to play it with me. Oh, X-Wing is what you meant to say. A lot of people are concerned about... what? Oh, crap. A lot of people are concerned about Besieged after the Dice Tower review. Are you? I won't know until I play it. Queen's Gambit, yay or nay? I finally got a copy, and I'm wondering if it is all just hype. I love it a lot, but you need to set your expectations right with Queen's Gambit. People are like, oh, this must be like some super heavy, complicated war game. Look at all the plastic and pieces and miniatures. It's a very simple card-driven game. So if you go into it with the right expectation, don't try to play it with 4 players your first time. Play it with 2 like it's meant to be played. I think you'll have a good time. How can you time your extreme playing with your social life? I have problems with that. Well, I don't have a social life, really. My social life is my gaming. That's how I justify that, which is not a good thing, but that's how it is. Would you ever consider making a BGB group for Seasons on Board Game Arena? I would imagine that would be a pretty fun live thing to do. Maybe. I'll look into that. Are you looking forward to the Deadpool movie? Have you seen the testicular cancer PSA they did? It was awesome. I did happen to see that. That was very funny. I think they have found a very good Deadpool. I'm not personally a big fan of the character, but I understand why people are. He's a goofy, breaking the fourth wall type of character. So I will watch it. I'm excited that they have other things going on in that movie, like Colossus is going to be in it, because they're just saying, oh yeah, we'll just use whatever character we have from the X-Men universe. Hey, Nick, thanks for not being a dick and answering questions, unlike some other reviewers. Keep up the good work. Is that a thing? I don't know. I don't answer every question either, by the way, but I try. Then someone clarified it a bit more. How many times are you going to see the Deadpool movie when it drops? How excited are you? I will see it once, and maybe in theaters. Hi, Nick, from Singapore. Cool. What game would you like to love, but are turned off due to the theme? I wonder if I would have liked Don't Turn Your Back a little bit more if the theme was better. That's the one I'm thinking of recently. Because the theme was just like interesting, but the artwork, which was really the main, the theme was not very strong in the game to begin with, and the artwork was the main thing that got that out. And I was so disappointed in the artwork, just like bleh. It looked like someone who was inspired by all the old like Vertigo comic covers. I have to say that there is more diversity in board games than Magic the Gathering. You want to talk about a white boys club? Is that the case, though? I wonder. I would love to see a study done on that, too, as if these are important things we should be spending money on studies for. But every time I've gone down to like cool stuff and they do Friday Night Magic, yeah, it's mostly white guys. But there's a lot of black guys, too. There are some women. It's tough to know who's there just because their boyfriend or husband is there. But I've seen some. I don't know. I guess we could just say that everything needs to be worked on. Do you think that Kantai Collection, which is an anime series about moe battleship girls, would make an interesting enough theme for a tactical miniatures game for you to play? No. I have no interest in that. If it's only based on if the game was good, okay. But if it was only because of the theme, I'm not interested. Marvel CEO Isaac Perlmutter supports Trump, donated millions to his campaign. That is disheartening. But supposedly there's a large amount of Democrats who are supporting Trump, which means that I have no idea what's going on anymore, and I give up on life. Former Green Lantern is a better Deadpool. I agree. Definitely better as Deadpool than the Green Lantern. Frozen or Tangled? I haven't watched either of them. I know that my ex-girlfriend's brother's ex-girlfriend loved both of those movies, and they talked about them constantly because of that. I have been interested in watching Frozen only because it is referenced so much on the internet. Cracked has written articles about the sort of gender issues of the movie. If it was an entertaining enough movie, I would consider watching it, despite the fact that it's totally not my speed of movie. Do you still play Alchemist, or is that the type of game I'm sorry, your grammar is kind of messing me up, but is different, but that most people don't play that much after? I like Alchemist a lot. I've played it once or twice since I did my review, and it's kind of sat there. But it's not because I don't like the game. It is a heavier game. It is hard to teach to people, and it is long. All of these things are kind of like just points against it for getting it to the table. But it doesn't mean I don't like it, and it's still in my collection. You might be able to see it, maybe? No. Currently, which game is not getting its due? Any insights into why that is the case? Well, there's a lot of games I think don't get their due. I still think Kingdom Death isn't. I mean, Kingdom Death has a very vibrant community on Board Game Geek. It's like the highest rated game that has more than 500 ratings. Something like that. Because it's still got over a 9-point-something rating. Despite being out for months. I mean, everyone who plays it. If you look at that game, the only negative ratings it has are from people who are just trolling and who don't like the miniatures. But it's still languishing in like the 500s in the ranking, and no reviewers talking about it, and no one will. It won't win any awards. It won't even be nominated for any of like the Dice Tower awards, because the reviewers weren't sent free copies that were assembled, and no one wants to go out of their way to play it because it's dark theme with scantily clad people. It's got to be awful. So that game will never get its due. It just won't. But for the faithful, hardcore faithful, we'll always appreciate it. I'm going to have to end soon, guys, but I was trying to catch up. I don't think I'm going to do that. What are your most asked questions? The number one most asked question is, what is that box above Super Dungeon Explorer? And I've heard variations of it too, like, what's that box? It looks like the luggage from Discworld. What do you think of the skirmish version of Imperial Assault? I have no interest in playing it. There has been a backlash against me because of that on my review of Battle for Hoth. People are like, this is not a full review. How could you only review the campaign mode? You should not call this a review, or you should put it in the title. And I said, because most people don't play the skirmish mode. Most people play it for the campaign mode, and that's the majority of the content in the box. That's what I'm reviewing. Are you interested in the new XenoShift? With how similar it is to the first, I feel the big box expansion may have been preferable. It might have been better to not make it a standalone game, but that's not really cool me or not's model. Their idea is let's make a standalone game, and that'll get people to go back so that they can just buy that, and then that'll get people to go back and buy the original as well for more content. And I can't really argue with that from a business standpoint, but I am interested in it because I like the game a lot. Space Battleship Yamato Armada Battlefleet Gothic style game. Would you play it? I don't know what Battlefleet Gothic is, but Space Battleship Yamato seems like an interesting theory. Hey Nick, it's been a while. Would you rather solo Marvel Legendary or Legendary Encounters Alien? Thanks and keep up the good work. Marvel Legendary. I love knocking out quick games Marvel Legendary. But Legendary Encounters Alien is good too, but I think it's much more difficult with less players. I think I'm catching up, then we're going to end it. If it's any comfort, from Singapore, and we have a big club in university. The percent of girls have increased dramatically from 3% 2 years ago to at least 20%. I also happen to be the first girl president. Well, congratulations. That's awesome. And that is a great trend. I think that it's happening, okay? I don't want to sound all doom and gloom. I think that the change is slowly happening, but we should always be proactive about it, right? Like, what can we do to make it more inclusive? What can we do to expedite the process, to get more people involved? Half of the population is women. More than half, right? It's like 51%. Why is there not showing up? And it's not because, it is cultural things. I mean, women are taught from a young age to not like the things that guys like. And that's something that has to change too. There's you have to work your way from the root of the problem up, and how, men treat women and how women feel excluded from all things in general. But, what are the active things that we can do? And not just for women, but for minorities as well, whoever is underrepresented in gaming. And realize that at a certain point, there is a possibility that the numbers will always be out of whack, because maybe white men have a proclivity for this sort of thing that's ingrained in us. And so therefore, we would come to it in more numbers. I don't know. But it's interesting to talk about. I like talking about it. As depressing as it can sometimes be. But I'm glad that the trend is going on at your university, Angela, and I'm happy that you're the president. That's awesome. By the way, I am friends with some women on Twitter and Facebook who are amazing. They're like the most proactive gaming people that I've ever seen. So, good to see. Which game that is currently out of print do you think is worth spending the ridiculous amount of money for? None. None of them. I'll say that right now. Don't worry about it. Buy new games. There's so many good new games. So many. Don't worry about it. I do not know why people love Pandemic. What is your opinion on this? I have played and found it very boring. I don't love Pandemic either. I think Pandemic is fine. I think it's okay. I think it's a game, for me, that had a very limited shelf life. Literally, I kept it on my shelf for a little while and then got rid of it. I found Pandemic Legacy much more engaging. The cost of that engagement, however, is a limited shelf life because the game will end eventually. But maybe that's what needed to happen. So yes, that's one of the reasons why I'm not as excited about Reign of Cthulhu as other people, because I'm like, well, it's based off of a solid game system, but it's a solid game system that gets very tiresome very quickly. If someone made a PT games, should it have new maps or bring back the old ones? Final Fantasy Tactics is what he meant to say. Old ones. Do both. Yeah, man. Sky's the limit. Who would you put on the super team of reviewers? 5 members max. There's no way I'm going to answer that question, but I appreciate you going for it. That's it. A natural end. Yes. Okay, I'm not looking anymore, lest I see another question that I feel compelled to answer, because we're already over time. But hey, everyone, thank you so much. I love doing the Q&A. It's my favorite part of the week. I'm so sorry that I haven't had more reviews up. All I can tell you is I'm going to try my best. You will see more content for sure. There's going to be definitely some stuff coming up, and there's some great things going on with the channel in the months to come. So stick with me. But and you have, and thank you very much. I really appreciate the big audience that we've been having for these lately. So thank you very much, everyone. Have a fantastic weekend, however you choose to celebrate it, and we'll see you next week.